Hey there, it's Colleen Flanagan, Mind Body Wisdom expert, master dowser, and author of this bestseller on Amazon, Fearless Accurate Dowsing. Today I want to talk about the belief that some people have, healers and dowsers, that you're too close to a person, an animal, a subject, a topic to be objective. Why are you putting that limitation on yourself, right? I hadn't heard about being too close until I had been dowsing for like decades. So the concept never even occurred to me. So I have never believed that about myself. I've always believed that if I have permission to dowse about something, I'm going to do it. And I've gotten plenty of unwanted information about myself and others. That's part of what you have to face up to as a dowser, right? As a healer. So my solution would be, first, write down what's the worst that could happen. When you are in a situation you feel too close, what's the worst that can happen? Usually it'll be you're going to get information you don't want and it's going to be scary. Or it's going to be very sad. You got to tell someone they're ill. Or you have to take your animal friend to the veterinarian because you sensed a disease or something in them. And I know that's terribly sad. We've all been there, right? But the important thing is, I believe, to stop that limitation, to clear that limitation, and here's how I do it. You can clear your governing vessel meridian. I've shown you this in so many other videos, just by running your hand in an arc over your head. You could do a little crumbling action, which feels good. If you have shoulder mobility problems, tap. These are the endpoints of the governing vessel meridian. Here's the endpoints of the conception vessel meridian. You could do both if you want to. The major male meridian goes that way, and the female meridian comes down from the pubic bone, goes all the way up to here. So think about what's the worst that can happen and release your fears. And I'll give you a little demo of how I would do it. And just start clearing and saying, I release this fear and terror that is blocking my objectivity and making me believe I'm too close to this situation to be able to accurately dowse or heal or apply healing modalities to myself, to someone or something in my life, to a loved one, to a client. I mean, we've all had clients, right, that were just so near and dear to us, and then they come to us even with a parent who's not well, and it's just, it's tough. But you know, if you're in this business, I'm sorry, you just got to face up to that. Or just say, sorry, I can't do it. Never go where you don't feel right going as far as healing and dowsing goes. That's what I would say. But I would also say, release your fears and push forward if you feel safe doing so. If you don't feel safe doing so, I guess you're going to have to hire someone. Anyway, just again, look at your list. I release my fear and terror. Then I'm going to find bad information about myself or others. If I dowse for or do healing work on a loved one, an animal friend, a client, myself, and think to yourself, what does this remind me of? Have you done something in the past where you investigated it and you found out some terrible information? Quite often, when you feel you're too close, that could be a fear from something that happened in your past that you investigated and found out an answer to something, and it was horrifying and scary. And that emotional trigger, that conflict marker, that trauma trigger is still stuck somewhere in your body. Now you can also spin a pendulum, as you've seen me do, in a circle over to the left to create a healing vortex and say, whatever's behind this fear I have that I'm too close to dowse for someone or myself or an animal friend or a client, I let it go. I let go of my fear of failure to get the answer I want. Someday, if not today, I will be able to dowse for this information and feel safe and realize that's life, right? It's full of the good stuff and the not so good stuff. And like Bruce Lee said, if we expect the seasons of our life to always be glorious springtime, then we're going to be mighty disappointed, right? You got your hot summers, your chilly winters, all this stuff of life. And then the fall, where we're supposed to let go of all our limitations. So let's do a little autumn work here and just shed those leaves of feeling you're too close. Another reason you could be feeling you're too close is fear that you're not safe. Now, let's clear that out. I release my fear that I'm not safe, dowsing for a specific answer for a loved one, a client, or myself. Because the answer I get will change my life forever. Well, you know, the answer's already out there. Whatever you're dowsing for has already happened, so you might as well just go for it, right? But again, remember, you have the power to change your emotions by doing this kind of work. So you really don't have any reason to be afraid, except you're afraid of the fear. You're afraid of the outcome. Let that go. I release my fears of finding an answer and finding out a terrible, terrible thing about myself or others. I release my fear and terror that when I find this answer and I don't want it, the bad times are never going to end. I'll never be able to stop thinking about it. Maybe I'll ruin someone's life. Maybe I'll ruin my own life. Maybe I'll think it's the right answer, but it's the wrong answer. Just let your mind go. Brainstorm. Think of the most ridiculous stuff your subconscious mind is bringing forward for you. And those are clues from your subconscious mind about what it absolutely is afraid of. And it puts up all kinds of irrational fears, doesn't it? Subconscious mind, and it relies heavily on your past to think of reasons why you're too close to a situation. I release this fear that I'm going to be abandoned or rejected if I dowse for the truth when I thought I was too close and they find out something. And even if it's true, they reject me because I was the deliverer of the bad news. Maybe you're afraid of that. You could also be afraid that with successful dowsing or successful healing comes consequences. A lot of people believe, and I've had this belief myself and I just cleared it, that when you're doing dowsing or healing and you find out a situation maybe and you release that fear or something, it's going to open up Pandora's box to all these fears that were behind it. You know, like it's some kind of a gateway into the land of fear and loathing. Well, I wouldn't say that that's going to happen, although there's probably a ton of fears behind the original fear. And it's okay, just take your time clearing them one by one. I release the fears that with every success comes consequences. I release the fears of being rejected or abandoned, even by illness or by death. I release my fears I'm not safe. The bad times are never going to end. I release my fears of failure to get the answer I want. I release now this insane belief that I'm too close to do an honest, objective reading for someone or healing for someone. I let this go. And any old memories coming up now about times I found out stuff I didn't want to know, maybe even reading a bad report card. It came in the mail and you steamed it open before your parents could get to it, right? There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in that subconscious mind. All these old memories, and they trigger current fears. That's right, our past can trigger current fears. That's why it's good to find it and flush it out. That's all you got to do. And then spin to the right, spin in some really positive energies, including, as I clear all polarity reversals, I instill the polarities of feeling strong and proud and confident and trusting of my dowsing skills, of my healing skills. I feel so happy and grateful for these incredible skills that I have. I feel so happy and grateful I'm able to help myself and others by dowsing and by healing, by letting go of emotions for myself and others that are possibly blocking their well-being. Just letting all this go now and accepting that I am one of the anointed ones. That's why I do this work. And you are. And even more importantly, remember, you're a treasure. You were called to do this work. You don't have to follow the calling, but it might be bugging you for the rest of your life. So why not clear the fears now, accept it, and move forward like a champion, right? Peace out. Namaste. Thank you for watching. And if you got any comments or questions, feel free to leave them. And I will answer the best I can. Peace out. Get 10 free chapters of my Fearless Accurate Dowsing book on my website, emorescue.com. There's also links to all my Amazon books and other interesting information. Thank you.